Hey, this is Tyler,
And this is Meg.
and today we are going to talk about our top 5 movies of all time.
Exciting.
Yeah, we're joined here also by our co host.
Figgy, our Pomeranian, is sitting on my lap.
Yeah, and we hope and pray that he,
That he behaves.
that he doesn't freak out.
You'll probably hear him talking at some point.
Yeah, he's doing pretty good right now with his bones, so
Yeah.
hopefully he doesn't flip out.
We actually got snow in South Carolina today,
Yep.
which is very unusual. We got like a half a foot of snow, and Figgy saw snow for the first time, and it was wonderful.
Yeah, super normal for us because we're from up north, but everybody seems to be freaking out down here about the
Yeah,
snow.
everyone is losing their minds.
Yeah, it's pretty funny actually.
It is.
They ended up closing a lot of the city down, like bridges and stuff. People couldn't get to work.
Yeah, grocery stores are closed.
Yeah, at my job, it was literally a work from home day for everybody in the company, which is pretty funny because it wasn't that much snow, but it was
No.
even just a tiny bit of snow. If you don't have the infrastructure, it's a disaster.
Right.
But yeah, Figgy loved it.
He had a blast.
I thought he was gonna be like really afraid of the snow.
Yeah, because he's a diva, so I thought he was going to set like one foot in it and be like, nope.
Yeah, but he had fun.
But he loved the snow.
Mm-hmm. And in true winter fashion, we watched some Harry Potter today.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty fun. I think maybe at some point we might watch all of them from start to finish, but we're kind of in the middle. I don't know if you started them from the beginning or not.
Well, HBO had a Harry Potter marathon on New Year's Day,
Yeah.
so I kind of watched them on and off that day. So I saw bits and pieces from the beginning.
Yeah.
But if we're like being serious about it, we'll probably have to start over.
Yeah. We probably won't be serious about it though. I don't know. Maybe Harry Potter might be a series to watch. Do people want to hear about Harry Potter? If you're listening to me right now, do you want to hear about Harry Potter or no? You can choose yes or no. This is fine. But yeah, we're going to talk about our top 5 movies of all time. Last time we talked about a TV show that we both really like. This time we're going to talk about movies that we individually like. And
Right.
once again, I have not seen your list.
I haven't seen yours.
And yeah, I guess we could probably jump right into it.
Yeah. So we each have 5 movies and an honorable mention.
Yep. And so I guess I'll start.
And this was really hard for me.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
I always have kind of known, like, you know, what a handful of my favorite movies are if someone ever asked me, but
Yeah.
writing them down and ranking them, really hard.
It was weird because this is kind of a thing where we're not going to be listing, the movies that we believe are the best technically. We're listing the 5 movies that we like the most.
Our personal favorites that we might even be aware some of them aren't technically
Yeah,
perfect.
maybe they're flawed in some way, but
Yeah.
we like them for a personal reason.
Maybe they're really shitty movies, but we just love them.
Yeah, and that's okay. That's allowed because these are our lists and this is our show.
That's right.
So we can do anything we want. I had a pretty big list to start off, and then tons of them I just cut because they were like technically good movies, but I only really saw them like once or twice. And one huge thing on my list anyway is like rewatchability, a movie that I like care deeply about and have a personal connection with, so I can throw it on and like quote it while I'm watching it, things like that. But yeah, I ended up getting down to 5, and then when I was ranking those 5, it was pretty difficult.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Same for me. And I changed my order too, so.
Yeah. Well, I changed mine just a second ago. I flipped a couple of them.
Yeah.
And the experience I had, I don't know about you, but I kind of had about 5 movies that I had, and I was like, oh, I like these 5 a lot. Like, these are my 5. But then ranking them was kind of hard because I like them for different reasons, and they were good and bad for different reasons, and they were kind of different kinds of movies, and it almost felt wrong to compare them to each other.
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah. But anyway, I ended up coming up with my ranking and you came up with yours.
And this is just for fun. It's not to be taken too seriously.
Yeah. I mean, it stressed me out a little bit to make this
Don't
list.
get stressed out.
But yeah, let's have fun with it. So here is my honorable mention. This movie maybe would be number 6 if this was a 6 movie long list.
What is it?
The movie is Seven.
Okay.
By David Fincher. So
I love Seven.
Yeah, this is a great movie. I love this movie. David Fincher directs this movie. David Fincher is a great director. I love movies by him.
Yeah, he's probably my favorite director.
And this is kind of spoiling the rest of my list a tiny bit, but Seven is probably my favorite movie by him. And so obviously none of his other movies are going to be on my list here. But Seven is a movie that does a particular thing that I love in movies, and it's when they have a great ending. And when you look at a movie, technically you usually should kind of weigh the beginning, middle, and end equally, but that's not how it is for me. It never has been. I mean, you can call it recency bias or whatever, but when a movie ends, that is basically what I leave with. Whatever feeling the ending gives me, that's kind of the impression, that's the main impression I end up having on the movie. And that's really the moment that the movie can save itself, whether it was doing well already or if it wasn't. That's the time that they can like wrap everything together in
the
a
end
bow
is
tie.
make or break for you.
Yeah, it pretty much is, to be honest. And I feel like that as a person who likes to think that he is able to critique movies, that's probably like a bad trait, to be like so heavily weighting the ending of movies. But it's just the way that I feel when I watch a movie. The ending really strikes me way more than the rest of the movie. But yeah, we will have, minor, maybe major spoilers for some of these movies.
Yeah. Let's just give a spoiler warning for all of them.
But yeah, I guess I won't say what happens at the end of Seven, but it just has an amazing ending, and the rest of the movie is really good too. Amazing performance by Brad Pitt. Morgan Freeman's really good. Someone else is really good in it too. It's just the way it's shot is really cool too. I remember watching a video that showed how when we're watching one character they use Steadicam, and when we're watching a different character we're using handheld, because they have like different mindsets from each other. Yeah, I love that. Just like little things like that you either don't notice or you notice subconsciously, or maybe you notice on a rewatch. Those are the kinds of details that somebody like Fincher puts into a movie that I think is really cool. But since it's honorable mentions, I'm not going to say too much more about Seven, except that you should definitely watch it.
Yeah, Seven is a really good movie.
Yeah, super good.
Speaking of super good, my honorable mention is Super Bad.
Oh my god.
So, Super Bad came out in 2007, so it just turned 10 years old this past year.
Yeah.
And it's still just as funny as it was the first time I ever saw it.
Just as quotable.
It's probably one of our favorite movies, just period. I don't know if it's on your list, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was.
If there's a movie that's on my list and you say it, then we'll save it. But I didn't stop you because it's not on my list.
Not on your list.
It was on my long list, though.
Okay.
When I made a really long list of movies to start with, it ended up pretty high on that list because it's worth
so
it.
Good.
It's really good.
So for anyone who hasn't seen it, it's about a group of friends in their senior year of high school, and they're kind of like outcasts. They're definitely not like any of the cool kids, and they get invited to a party, and basically on their way to the party, everything that can go wrong does go wrong, and it's just them basically trying to get to this party and get laid.
Yeah.
Before they go to college. And it's hilarious. The comedy in Superbad, it's been done since, especially with like the movies that are written by Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg. So like Knocked Up and those kinds of movies. But at the time, it was kind of new. It was very fresh. The humor is really smart and unique.
Yeah.
And I love the performances in it too. You really feel like Jonah Hill and Michael Cera are those people.
Yeah.
We actually met Michael Cera too.
Do you
remember that?
I remember meeting Michael Cera. He was awkward in real life.
Yeah, that's what I put in my notes because we saw a show in New York called This Is Our Youth that he starred in.
Yep.
And we saw him afterwards, and he was really awkward, but nice.
Yeah, he was nice. Kieran Culkin was also in that.
Mm-hmm.
And he was super cool and nice.
We really liked Kieran Culkin.
He wasn't awkward. He was just like really cool.
Yeah, he was a cool guy.
Yeah.
You may know him as Macaulay Culkin's brother, and he's Fuller in Home Alone.
Yep.
Fuller, go easy on the Pepsi. But yeah, I don't know if I have anything else to say about it. I really just wanted to mention it because it's probably my favorite comedy of all time.
Yeah.
I think it's so funny. It never gets old. We've seen it, how many times do you think? Like,
I've seen that movie
over 10 times.
Probably. I personally was going to say over 20.
Yeah.
That's a movie that is endlessly rewatchable, endlessly quotable. That's a movie, and some of my movies on my list are on the list for that reason. This is a movie I can play in the background, just listen to it, and have a good time with it. And
yeah, I thought it was funny when I was 16. I still think it's funny now that I'm in my 20s. And, like, my parents even think it's funny.
The delivery, just the way that they say these lines, the lines are, like, they're funny lines, but if they were delivered wrong...
If they were done wrong, it would not be nearly as funny as it is.
Oh, man.
Especially, what's his name? Chris Mintz-Platz? Is that his name?
Yeah, Mintz-Platz.
Mintz-Platz, who plays McLovin.
Yeah.
Oh my god, his delivery is so good.
That's like a character of all time.
Yeah.
Like, that is a character
I am
that
McLovin.
now exists.
Like, everyone has said that.
That's amazing. And that's a movie that is old enough now. You just said it was, 10 years old?
Yeah, going on 11.
That's a movie that's old enough now that kids growing up are not watching this movie.
I think it's like a classic from our generation.
Yeah. This is going to be a movie that we show to our kids, to our grandkids, and they're not going to know this movie because no one's watching it because it didn't just come out.
And Jonah Hill went on to, like, star in, like, Oscar-nominated movies, so he's, like, totally not even in the same realm anymore. So I don't know. It's not one that everyone talks about anymore. So I thought it was important to mention because it's just so good and so funny.
Yeah. I think it's just a good movie too. Like, I think it's really tight and it's not even just funny. I think it's just a really good, like, well-structured movie overall. I like it a lot.
There's so many good moments.
Yeah. Okay. Well, now that we're done with our honorable mentions, let's go to our lists.
Yeah. Before we do that, are there any other movies you just wanted to, like, quickly mention that almost made your list? I know you said you had a bunch that you wish you could have gotten in there in your top.
I've got like 5 here that I can mention really quickly.
Yeah, just fire them off.
One of them was Superbad. The other one was What We Do in the Shadows, which is another...
Oh, I love that one.
Another comedy.
Another hilarious movie.
Yeah, that almost kind of took the same slot. Drive from 2011. What the hell is the name of the guy that directs that? Yeah, Ryan Gosling stars in that. Drive is an amazing movie. Iron Man from 2008 is a movie that I just love for so many reasons, but it's not one of my top 5. And Christopher Nolan's The Prestige is
also a really good one.
Yeah, that's a killer movie, and that's a movie that's...
And a good ending.
Yep, very good ending. And that's a movie that has, like, very technical prowess. Mm-hmm. But it didn't end up making my list, but it was high up there.
I'm surprised that's not on your list.
Yeah, it was really hard not to put it on there, and it makes me... Like, it's a restriction. Like, the list is only 5 movies. You've got to cut off some things.
Maybe someday we'll do an updated version and talk about 5 other favorites.
5 other favorites.
There's just too many good ones.
Yeah, maybe we can do another one where we do our top 5 of all time minus the ones we did last time.
Yeah.
That would actually be cool, I think. And that would, like, round me out and make me feel better about
Yeah,
this.
that way you won't have to, like, agonize over not mentioning.
It's so silly to feel guilty about it, but I do. But, okay, so, yeah, those are the other ones that almost made it onto my main list.
So what did make it?
Yeah, so let's jump into my number 5.
Let's do it.
This is a movie that I've always regarded as one of my all-time movies. It's a romance. It's almost a sci-fi. It's a drama.
I think I know what you're going to say.
So well acted. It is so interesting and gripping, and it makes me feel so many emotions, and it's so heartbreaking, and it's called Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Oh, that's not what I thought you were going to say.
No, you thought I was going to say something else?
Yeah.
This movie came out in 2004, directed by Michael Gondry, who I looked at his other stuff. I've never seen anything else by this guy. And it stars Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet, among some others. And this is a movie that moves me. I can't say enough about just how much of a raw emotional feeling I felt when I watched this movie.
You showed me this movie.
Yeah.
The first time I saw it was with you.
Yeah. This movie...
It's really impactful.
Yeah, if you don't know what this movie is about, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, it's about basically Jim Carrey has... God, I'm actually having trouble remembering it. Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet are dating, kind of, and then Kate Winslet erases her memory, or Jim Carrey does.
It starts off with her, and then he also wants his memories of her erased because... Mm-hmm.
So the movie takes place mostly in his mind. So first she does it, but that's quick at the beginning, or it happens before the movie starts or something.
Right.
And then Jim Carrey is like, oh, so this girl who I was dating erased her memory of me. I'm going to erase my memory of her. And then we go through this process, which apparently, we go on this journey, is a little more involved and a little more agonizing than they, advertise to him. It's not just an instant memory wipe thing. It's a real involved process, and it's not perfect. And he realizes in the process, while we're following him in his mind through his memories, he decides that he changes his mind, and he
doesn't want to do it.
He doesn't want to do it, and he wants to, remember her and be with her, or at least if he can't be with her, remember her and, feel the pain. And I won't spoil, what ends up happening, but it's really, really good. It's a really emotional experience. And there's also a subplot happening with Mark Ruffalo and some other people that is actually kind of interesting. But the A plot with Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet, oh my God, they are both so good in it.
They were. Kirsten Dunst is in it too, isn't she?
Yeah, I think she's the one who is maybe in love with Mark Ruffalo or something.
She's in love with the doctor who does these procedures, right?
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah, I think you're right. But anyway.
Or she was before her memories were erased.
Yes. Yeah, there's a memory erasing portion of that subplot.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, so I just wanted to, the last thing I want to say about that movie, I'll just make it quick, is that, we've seen Kate Winslet do drama before, and, she's great.
I love her.
Jim Carrey, I don't know, maybe he's done some things, but I'd never seen him do anything like this before in my life.
No. The Truman Show, he's really good in too, but I think the Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is the strongest performance he's ever given.
I think so too. And I saw this before I saw Truman Show, I think. So when I had first seen this, I think I had never seen him do anything like this before.
Yeah.
It's
knew?
amazing. It's what's even the word? It's you can just feel his hurt. That's all I can really...
He's so raw.
That's the only way I can put it. He's raw. Exactly. But yeah, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is a movie that you should definitely watch. And that is my number 5. And Megan, it is your turn. What is your number 5?
My number 5 is Black Swan.
Oh, okay.
Directed by Darren Aronofsky.
Yeah.
and it came out in 2010, starring Natalie Portman.
I want to say that, that's recent, but that's 8 years ago.
Yeah. It is actually one of the more recent ones on my list, though. I don't have a whole lot from the last few years.
Okay.
But this got a lot of buzz, like, around award season that year. Natalie Portman won the award for Best Actress.
Okay.
For anyone who doesn't know what it's about, it follows Natalie Portman, who plays a ballerina in New York City, I think. And she's completely, like, obsessed with her work, obsessed with perfection. And she gets cast in the starring role of their company's new production of Swan Lake. So it kind of echoes Swan Lake a little bit for anyone who knows that story.
Yeah.
That ballet.
I don't.
Well, if you've seen Black Swan, you kind of know it.
Okay.
So, and she essentially loses her mind as she goes deeper and deeper into this role. And you kind of go insane with her, and by the end of the movie, you don't even know what's real and what isn't real anymore.
Yeah.
And again, you mentioned the performances in Spotless Mind. The performances in this are so good. Natalie Portman is amazing, and she's not always.
Yeah. So
she gives really strong performance, and she's kind of, there's a little bit of a juxtaposition between her and Mila Kunis. They're kind of like opposites. Mila Kunis is going out for like the same role as her, so sorry, our dog is going a little crazy.
Hey, buddy.
But you've seen this, right? You've seen Black Swan?
Yeah, I've seen Black Swan. The only thing that I was going to say when you talked about like going into this madness and at the end not knowing what happened and what didn't. I remember that was kind of my favorite thing about the movie. And sometimes that's annoying in movies, but
yeah, it does it well though.
I liked that. I liked that I kind of like was second guessing myself throughout the whole thing and like, oh, did this actually happen? Or yeah.
Yeah. So that's pretty much all I have to say about Black Swan. It's kind of like a mind fuck.
Yeah.
But it's really good.
Yeah, that's a good movie. That was nowhere near my list or anything, but that's definitely a movie that I personally recognize as like a technically very good movie.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, let's jump into number 4. My number 4 is a movie that you might be surprised is this low on my list. It's a movie that I've loved for a long time. I love the memory of the first time I ever watched it. It's very much sci-fi. It's very much a movie that would be on some people's top 5 lists of all time. It was directed by the Wachowski siblings. It came out in 1999.
What could it be?
You might know it as The Matrix. The Matrix stars Keanu Reeves, Lawrence Fishburne, Carrie-Anne Moss, Hugo Weaving, among some others. It's a movie about a regular old Joe who works at a software company. In his spare time, he's a hacker, and he accidentally gets swept up into some crazy shit where he learns that our reality is actually a simulation, and he gets pulled out of that simulation into the actual real world where it's like the future and robots have taken over, and it's super duper good. The Matrix is an action movie. It's a sci-fi movie. It's not really a romance movie, but there's some themes about love in it. It's a movie that is so theme heavy. It's got every like generic theme under the sun that you could think of. This movie follows it or has it. And if you are familiar with the hero's journey, this movie follows it to a T. And that is a lot of stuff that actually I like. Those could be points against it, I think. If somebody doesn't like The Matrix, I think they would...
Depends on the person.
Yeah, they would probably bring those things up as like negatives about it. But this is a movie that just, I think, does the whole generic hero story perfectly. And it does it with that like sci-fi skin on top of it, which is kind of cool and makes it more fun to watch.
Yeah.
I will point out as an amazing performance in this movie is Hugo Weaving as Agent Smith. I think that he is probably, if we were going to talk about, what a villain is supposed to be and what are good villains, he would be one that would make it very high on my list, because he is exactly what I believe a villain should be, and that is to be conflicted and to be human. And it's funny because in this movie, he's literally not human. He's a program, but the whole arc with his character is that he's struggling with that fact that he's a program, and that he is starting to feel more and more human as time goes on. And that's exciting. There's a part in the movie where, if you've seen it already, you know what I'm talking about, when he does a little speech to Morpheus when he has Morpheus held prisoner, and he's talking about like humanity and what it means to be human, and he's just so good. He's so good in that. Okay. He's just really good in that scene, and he's just really good in the whole movie, and he's menacing, and it's smart, and that's it. Hugo Weaving is amazing in the movie. Keanu Reeves and Lawrence Fishburne and Carrie-Anne Moss and Joe Pantoliano, they're all super good too, but Hugo Weaving is really one of the most, I guess, quotable parts of the movie. There's so many things that he says, and you can just remember it, and it sticks in your mind, and the way he says it, and with the voice that he puts on, and just everything about Agent Smith is just so good in that movie.
He's the star of the show for you.
Yeah, he's so good. He's one of the reasons that I love that movie, is because Hugo Weaving is just so magnetic. And we're gonna take a break.
We have to deal with our dog.
1 second. Okay.
We're back.
We have dealt with the dog situation.
My mom was sad that you couldn't hear him in the last podcast. So.
Yeah.
Mom, if you're listening, there's Figgy.
Yeah, there he is. You got to hear him, and you'll never hear him again. So, The Matrix, super good movie. I just love it for so many reasons. I guess a reason that I like it, I mentioned that at the beginning. This is kind of a dumb reason for liking a movie, but I remember when I first watched this movie, it was with my best buddy Zach from New York, and we must have been in high school or middle school or something, and I just remember that The Matrix was always a movie that, you're supposed to watch. Like, everybody talks about it and references it, and we had never seen it, or at least I had never seen it. And we ended up watching the first one in his basement, where, we had a dope-ass TV, and it was just a sweet spot to watch movies. So we got in his basement, and we watched the first Matrix movie, and it was so good. I just remember liking it so much.
It's definitely a movie that everyone should see.
Yeah, that's a movie that, I've described it as a masterpiece before. Like, it's very, very well made, well put together. I'm just struggling a little bit to really talk about the reasons that I like it, but I think you'll understand if you just go and watch it. But yeah, I just like that memory of going in Zach's basement and watching that movie, and then we finished it, and then we watched the second one, and then we finished that, and we watched the third one. We watched them all three in a row, I think, in the same night, and it was just...
Marathoned it.
Yeah, it was just a fun, cool thing to do when you're a kid, and I just have that memory. And I love that movie, and I will always love that movie. And
awesome.
It's dope, and I love Keanu Reeves. So yeah. Okay, you can do your number 4 now.
Okay, number 4.
Yeah.
My number 4 is Titanic by James Cameron.
Uh-oh.
So this is one that I did not want to put on my list and talk about, because it's Titanic, and what can you even say about it?
You think everybody's seen it?
I think everyone's seen it. I think no one really cares anymore, and I don't know. I felt stupid putting it on my list, but if I didn't put it on my list, I would be lying, because it's definitely one of my favorite movies. And if I like had to pick only one movie to watch for the rest of my life, it might be Titanic, because it has a little of everything. It has romance, it has action, it has drama. I think most of the characters are really, well-rounded and well-developed. Some aren't. But it's just a movie that I have loved like most of my life. I saw it when I was really young, probably younger than I should have been to be watching it. I was probably 4 years old the first time I watched it, and I just loved it. It's visually so beautiful to look at. And for a movie as long as it is, it's like 3 or 4 hours long. It actually moves along really fast. Like, the pacing is really well done. I never get bored. And also, I think that the love story is really believable and seems really real and human, especially since they have like such a short amount of time to develop that chemistry. But yeah, it probably would be higher on my list if I had more to say about it, but it's one that I really just, from the bottom of my heart, love. So, I don't know.
That's awesome. Titanic didn't make it anywhere near my list.
I didn't expect it to. But I don't think you hate Titanic, though, do you?
But no, I don't hate Titanic. And I was just going to say that you reminded me when you were talking a little bit about the structure that I love that this movie is half a non-disaster movie and half a disaster movie. Back
in the day, my family used to have it on VHS, and it's so long that you had to like switch it out halfway through, so there were 2 VHSs, and it's almost split like perfectly to where the first half is a romance and drama, and then the second half is like a disaster movie, survival story.
I love that they spend so much time letting us get to know these two and getting us acquainted with their relationship together, because a lot of disaster movies just jump into the disaster pretty quickly, and you don't really give a shit about the people who are in danger. I remember watching Titanic, and I remember feeling like that adrenaline rush and giving a shit about them getting out of it alive. I like that movie. That's a good movie.
So if you haven't seen Titanic, I don't know where you've been, but you should go see it.
I mean, if you haven't seen Titanic, I mean, maybe you were on the Titanic and now you're a ghost.
Maybe. But I think that's all I have to say about it. It's Titanic. Everything has been said.
Titanic is good. If you really haven't seen it, I would say watch it. I would recommend it. Okay, number 3. This is a movie that took the place that Superbad would have taken.
So this is like your comedy favorite?
This is like my comedy favorite. This movie would have taken the space that What We Do in the Shadows would have had. This is a movie that is not strictly a comedy, but it is a movie that is so technically good, and so good in my opinion, and so rewatchable and immensely quotable that it's just would be a crime, I think.
I have no idea what movie you're going to say.
To not put it on this list. I don't think you know, because I don't think you thought this movie was funny.
Oh, boy.
The movie is Hot Fuzz.
Okay.
And this movie is from 2007. It was directed by Edgar Wright. It stars Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, among some others. And this movie is a movie that maybe doesn't make me crack up quite as much as some of the other comedies that could have taken this slot. But this is a movie that is so well crafted. And if you could just like take movies and like represent them as like balls of yarn, most movies would be like shaggy and like all tangled and unkempt. But Hot Fuzz is just like this perfect, just like interwoven, beautiful ball of yarn where everything is interlocked with everything else.
Yeah.
The script is so tight. Every word almost in the entire movie has a meaning that is either brought up later or is connected to something else in the movie. It is just such an achievement for just like the script alone. Just the way that everything fits together is amazing. It's kind of a mystery. It's kind of almost not really an action movie. It's definitely a comedy. It's definitely a, what's the word, parody of like action movies.
Like buddy cop type movies.
Yeah. It's like a send up of buddy cop movies. It's so good. Hot Fuzz is a movie that I think pretty much anybody would have a good time watching, and I would recommend it to anyone. Like, out of the movies on this list, some of them are like kind of my taste, and maybe I won't recommend them to somebody. But Hot Fuzz is a movie that if you give any sort of a shit about movies and you care about anything about movies being good versus being bad, and you want to see an example of a movie that's done right, Hot Fuzz is the movie that you should watch. This movie's amazing. I'm done.
I'm really surprised that you put it above What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah.
Or Superbad.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Superbad is a movie that has like some technical points for me. What We Do in the Shadows is just so fucking funny. But Hot Fuzz is not on there necessarily just because it's a funny movie. It's on there for so many other reasons.
More body to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that movie a lot.
Yeah, I didn't love Hot Fuzz. I only watched it once with you. But I love Edgar Wright. I love The World's End.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that style of writing is really funny.
Yeah. If you guys aren't paying attention, Edgar Wright made 3 movies. He's made more, but he made 3 movies that are like secretly connected, but not really. One of them is called Shaun of the Dead. It's like a parody on zombie movies. And the next one's called Hot Fuzz. It's like a parody on buddy cop movies. And then the third one is the one that Megan mentioned she likes. Is called The World's End.
My favorite, and I have no idea how to describe it.
Yeah, what is that even a parody of? I don't know what it's a parody of. Like alien invasion movies, kind of?
Yeah, I guess.
But yeah, that one has grown on me. I didn't really like World's End when I first watched it, but it's gotten better on,
It's funny that we kind of have like opposite opinions.
Yeah.
On Edgar Wright's movies.
Yeah, Hot Fuzz I think is also a movie that I would not feel uncomfortable describing as a masterpiece. I think it's
really
so well made. I really believe that. It's really good.
Cool.
Yeah. Watch Hot Fuzz. All right.
Ready to move on?
Yeah. What's your number 3?
Okay, my number 3. It is Atonement.
This is so fun. I'm having such a good time.
I'm glad.
Sometimes it's really fun to be negative, but I'm having fun being positive, even if I can't really say too much.
And it's kind of hard to think of things to say about, like,
yeah,
your favorite movies, which you wouldn't think. You'd be like, oh, I can talk about my favorite movies all day long until I'm blue in the face, but it's not so easy.
Yeah, no.
You just want to say, like, I like it.
Yeah, I'm having a really good time, though. I'm okay with just saying I like it over and over. Like,
yeah.
I like these movies so much. Go watch them. Like,
yeah. Bottom line, if you haven't seen any of these, you need to have a movie night and marathon.
Watch these movies. That's what we're saying. And this next one you're about to talk about also was not on my list, but it made it actually kind of high because I really liked it.
It's really, really good.
Yeah.
So Atonement, it came out in 2007. It's directed by Joe Wright, and it stars James McAvoy, Keira Knightley.
Yep.
And Saoirse Ronan.
Yep.
And it's a 1930s like war drama, and it centers around 2 sisters, and James McAvoy is the son of their housekeeper because they're really wealthy. And there's kind of, I'm like hesitant to say love triangle because it's really not.
Yeah. But
essentially the younger sister is really in love with James McAvoy, and he's in love with Keira Knightley, and she's in love with him back. And out of jealousy or whatnot, Saoirse Ronan's character Bryony accuses him of a terrible crime, and he's arrested and then ultimately serves in World War II.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the story of this love that's been torn apart, but it's so much more than that. It's almost really hard to describe.
Yeah.
And I love visually how it looks. I love how the story's told. Sometimes you see things like out of order or from different like people's point of view, so you don't know what something really is.
It's a little bit of a mystery.
Yeah, a little bit. And I've never seen that done in any other movies before. Like, you'll see someone watch something happen from a window and see it in a completely different way.
Yeah, like context.
Right. And it's just fascinating. And I love, like, little things like that are different. And just kind of give you something else to think about when watching a movie, as opposed to it just being, like, beginning, middle, end.
So you like being
story.
Challenged at least?
Yeah, I like being able to kind of think about things and wonder.
Yeah.
And even at the end, you're kind of left wondering still, because nothing is really what it seems.
Yeah.
But I love it, and I think the love story is really impactful. Even though these characters do not have a lot of time together.
No.
But something about Keira Knightley and James McAvoy's chemistry, it just feels so real, and you really root for them.
We've got a lot of heartbreaking movies on here.
I know, I have more. But yeah, I just picked the movies that really made me feel something.
Yeah.
And this made me feel something.
Cool.
I
like
love
that
Atonement.
movie. Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on Atonement?
Yeah.
You actually watched it for the first time recently.
Yeah, I watched it very recently for the first time, and I want to say that it has a really good ending. Like, so good.
I love the ending.
And I want to say that James McAvoy is the, like, secret star of Hollywood. He really is. So fucking good, and he's got to be recognized for something soon, or else I'm going to freak out. He's really good.
I think he proved that in Split this year, when he could play literally like dozens of different characters and actually seem like different people.
Yeah, his performance in Split is so good.
He's like a true character actor.
I love him. Yeah, no, I don't have much else to say about Atonement necessarily. I will say that for a few of these movies, we kind of described what happens in them. For some reason, I totally did not do that with Hot Fuzz. I just said that I liked it and that it was like a ball of yarn.
Do you want to backtrack and say anything about Hot Fuzz?
The only thing I want to say is that it's like, I'll just say like what the movie's about. Also, just go see it. It's really good. But basically, it's about this guy who's like a really good cop, and he goes to this. He gets transferred to this town where he doesn't need to be a really good cop anymore, and like there's not really any crime going on, and it's just like this hick town or whatever. And then some crime starts happening and people start dying, and then his expertise is needed, and it's really good. Okay, that's all I have to say about Hot Fuzz. I promise this time I'm not going to say anything else about it.
So what's next? Your number 2?
Yeah, my number 2 is what's next. This is a movie that you won't be surprised is on here. This is a movie that you might be surprised is this high. This is a movie that does not necessarily do any challenging things to the viewer. I love to be challenged when watching a movie. But sometimes I like to just sit down and watch Keanu Reeves shoot people in the fucking head. Sometimes it's just fun to see a man who is 50 years old do his own stunts and shoot people in the fucking head.
Would the poster for this movie be on our wall by any chance, by your desk?
The poster for this movie is in this house. And it is right by my desk. This movie is called John Wick. This is my number 2 movie of all time. This movie came out in 2014, just a few years ago. 4 years ago? Oh my god. Okay. This movie came out.
Time flies when you're watching John Wick all the time.
Time flies when you're just watching John Wick 24/7.
And you do watch it a lot.
This is a movie that is perfect to put in the background. Like I was talking about some other movies. This is a movie where you can just listen to it, and it has so many funny quotes. And I'll get into why, this movie like hits so many bases for me. But 2014, directed by Chad Stahelski and David Leitch. I don't know how to say their names. It stars Keanu Reeves, of course, Michael Nyqvist, who actually passed away like last year, and Alfie Allen, who you might know from Game of Thrones.
I don't.
Okay.
Who does he play in John Wick?
He's the kid.
Okay.
Who steals the car, and among other things. But yeah, he's in Game of Thrones. I don't know what the character is that he plays.
I've only seen the first season, so I don't really remember.
I don't know what season he's in. I've barely seen any of Game of Thrones. We should watch a show and then... It doesn't matter. So John Wick. John Wick is a movie about a character named John Wick, played by Keanu Reeves, who is an ex-hitman who is like out of the game completely, living and loving with his wife for years, and then his wife dies of cancer or something.
And what was his game? He was a hitman? Did you say that?
Yeah, he was a hitman.
Okay.
Yeah, he was a hitman, and he was particularly good. And so his wife dies, and then she sets this thing up so that he gets a dog as like a final parting gift to help him grieve. This movie's about grief, by the way. If you care about the themes in an action movie, this movie has them. You just have to look like half a step further. It's there. This is a movie about grief. And it's a movie about what happens when you don't let John Wick grieve. And what happens is he shoots your fucking face off. So, he gets this puppy as a final gift from his dying wife. And then he, hangs out with the puppy and starts grieving with it. And then for some reason, some dumbass fucking Russian kid decides to steal John Wick's car and kill his puppy.
Oh, it's so sad.
It's very sad. It is something that makes me feel a fire in my heart and a pressure and a rage in my chest, and it makes me feel like I am on John's side for this entire movie.
Yeah, if you want to make your audience hate a character, just have them kill a dog. Because
yes.
Everyone is going to hate them.
This movie is so simple, and really the plot is they kill his dog, so he kills them. But that is what is so great about a revenge movie, is that that's all you need. If you give the audience a reason to give a shit, then you can do anything you want.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. And it's amazing when the thing that you decide to do is to take Keanu Reeves, who for some reason decides at 50 years old that he's going to be a badass and like do his own stunts and like do training with guns and stuff so that he understands like the technicalities of how to actually do all of this action. And then you get in two guys to direct it who have been in the industry forever and have worked on action movies, and one of them I think was a stunt double for Keanu in movies in the past, and so they understand action, so they do this action perfectly. The bullets are counted. There are parts where he goes to kill a guy and he has to reload. It's just
care was taken,
and there's cool cars, there's cool guns, there's a cool ass protagonist. It's just a fun ass ride. And I can just sit there and watch it and have a good time every single time. This movie is funny also. I have to talk about the dark comedy in this movie. Mm-hmm. The first 15 minutes, maybe half hour of this movie is about John, losing everything. And then every single person who knows who he is saying, oh shit, John Wick is the person whose dog you killed? This is going to be bad.
This is bad.
And just like that type of world building where you just get like funny moments like that, it's so fun. It's a movie that's just fun. It's fucking fun all around. Like, it's hilarious. It's action packed.
Something I like about John Wick is that it feels like you're looking into like a real world.
Yeah.
Every one of the characters seems like a real person. It feels like they've all known each other before.
Yep.
And I just love like the little nuances in the movie.
Yeah. On that point of like it seems like they've all known each other before, I'm going to spoil one of the funny moments in the movie. There's a part where John has just killed a bunch of people in his house, and then there's like police lights like out of his window, and as the audience we're like, oh shit, the police are here, what is he going to do? He has like all these dead bodies in his house, and he opens up the door and he fucking goes, hey Jimmy. And Jimmy, the cop, goes, hey John, you working again?
Police corruption, though? Is that what this movie is talking about?
Yeah, I guess. But yeah, just like funny shit like that. I don't know. It's just such a fun movie. I love John Wick. You need to watch John Wick. You need to have a good time with it.
You can tell Keanu had a great time with that role, too.
You can. If you ever watch interviews with him, too, he is always like, I don't know, very excited in his way, though. Because he's very, like, monotone sometimes.
He's a very chill guy.
He's, like, very chill and, like, kind of, like, quiet, and his answers are usually pretty quick. But he seems like his version of excited when he's doing interviews for
Turned it up to 11.
Movie. Yeah.
For this movie.
Yeah. But yeah, John Wick. I'm not going to say anything else except that you should definitely watch this movie.
Okay.
Your number 2.
My number 2. I love how you've been kind of like giving a little preview before you say what the movie is. You're like, oh, this is a movie about this, and this. And I'm like, I can't do that because I'm just like, this movie is about a fight club. And it's Fight Club.
Is your number 2 Fight Club?
My number 2 is Fight Club. So this is a movie about a fight club. Fight Club came out in 1999 and is directed by David Fincher.
David Fincher, we got 2 Finchers.
He is my favorite director of all time.
He's so good.
I love Fight Club. I love Seven.
Yep.
I love Gone Girl. Panic Room is a really fun movie.
Zodiac wasn't half bad.
I loved Zodiac, actually. Yeah. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah. I want to watch it again to get a better handle on it.
Yeah. Zodiac's long.
It was really late when we watched it, and I didn't expect such a long movie.
No. But we're not talking about Zodiac. We're talking about Fight Club.
Forget Zodiac. Who cares about Zodiac? Let's talk about Fight Club.
Fight Club, for anyone who hasn't seen it, it's about a guy who works like a really mundane job. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of like commentary on consumerism in this movie.
I love commentary on consumerism. Not joking. I love when that's in movies.
No, it's definitely very interesting.
Yeah.
And he's kind of taken out of his everyday life when he's played by Edward Norton, who is one of my favorite actors.
Yep.
When he meets Brad Pitt's character, Tyler Durden.
That's me.
And his apartment like burns down, so they end up having to like move in together. Mm-hmm. And they just literally start a fight club where a group of guys kind of beat up each other. Mm-hmm. But there's so many like things lying underneath. I mean, I think everyone loves this movie and knows it.
Yeah, I bet you a lot of people listening have seen it.
Right. So it's really smart, but it's watchable. It's a movie that has a lot of commentary without being like cringy.
Yep.
It's actually fun to watch. And I just love how unorthodox it is. I know it was like not well received when it came out in 1999.
No.
People did not like it because it's different and it's really gritty and dark. Mm-hmm. And it has a lot of dark humor in it too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just love it. I don't have much to say about it other than if you haven't seen it, you need to.
You know what you could say is how you feel about the ending without saying what the ending is.
I love the ending. I didn't know what the twist was, even though I saw Fight Club like many, many years after it came out.
Yeah.
So I won't say what the twist was, just in case anyone hasn't seen it.
I love twists. It's probably one of the best twists of all time.
Yeah, it's one of the classic. Like,
oh, this movie's really rewatchable because of its twists too.
Right, because you kind of pick up on things that you didn't see the first time, and there are a lot. Like if you care about things like that.
Yeah.
Speaking of like care being taken, care was taken with every single detail in this movie.
This movie reminds me of The Prestige in that sense.
Yeah.
Like all the details are different when you watch it a second time.
Right. And everything kind of lines up. But the ending, I love. It makes you think. It gets you excited to watch it again.
Yeah.
And maybe it's kind of like why I like Black Swan. It's watching someone kind of slowly descend into madness and things get crazier and crazier. Mm-hmm. It's so good.
Yeah. I love Fight Club.
Yeah. It is. It could probably be like my favorite movie if you asked me on, another day.
Yeah.
But today it's my number 2.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to say about Fight Club?
No, I just wanted to say that it was pretty high on my original long list.
Yeah.
It was a movie that I definitely considered. I like it a lot. I would probably say that John Wick is my favorite movie if you asked me on the right day.
Right.
So, same thing.
This is also a movie that kind of got me into good movies. There was definitely a turning point. I think when we saw Prisoners in theaters, which came out in like 2013.
Fucking love that movie.
It's so fucking good. And that is the movie that it was like the first good movie that I just like loved the shit out of.
Yeah.
And then we started watching all of these really good movies and watching like classics that we had never seen. And Fight Club was one of them. And I'm like, this is just like a good movie that is also like so fun to watch.
Yep.
And a movie that I could watch like so many times and never get sick of.
Yeah.
I love the performances in it. Edward Norton is really good, but I think Brad Pitt is actually like probably the best performance in the movie.
He's incredible in this movie.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I think people forget that he can actually like really act.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I really liked him in Burn After Reading as well.
Yeah, I love that movie.
I love his character's kind of stupid in that, but it's really good. He does a really good job.
He's become so many different characters, like in so many movies.
I think that Tyler Durden might be his, thing though. That might be the one that I remember him as most.
That's the role of his career.
Yeah, I think. Am I not thinking of something?
I don't know. I really like him in Interview with a Vampire too.
Oh,
or Interview with the Vampire.
I like that movie.
Mandela Effect.
Yeah. This is not an episode about the Mandela Effect.
This is not a conspiracy theory podcast.
If we do an episode,
we might do that sometime.
Yeah, if we do one about the Mandela Effect, we will get 5 million views.
I don't believe in the Mandela Effect.
Well, nobody who is smart believes in it. But we shouldn't tell our viewers that because maybe they believe in it.
Yeah, Kendall Ray, if you're listening.
Oh my god. Or maybe, in our video when we actually talk about it, we will act like we believe in it, so we can't blow our cover right now.
I'm open to anything. I just feel like there's no proof for that.
Well, yeah, you can be open to anything, but you shouldn't really be too open to things that
I'm not open without reason.
Literally a person made up on the internet this year.
Okay, I think I'm done talking about Fight Club and the Mandela Effect. Do you have anything else to say about Fight Club?
No. You're not going to ask me if I have anything else to say about the Mandela Effect?
No, I think we just need to table that for now.
Okay, cool. Well,
wait for our conspiracy theory episode.
Yeah, maybe that'll be a whole different series. This series doesn't even have a name. I think this is another unnamed podcast episode.
It's just us talking.
This is just us. Us. Would that be a good podcast name?
Really pretentious.
Maybe not. Okay. I have a number 1 movie of all time.
I totally know what your number 1 is.
This is my favorite movie. And
should I guess what your number 1 is?
I know that you know the answer. I want to do the thing where I
You want to set it up?
Yeah. Okay.
You're so good at it.
Thank you. Well, now I'm nervous. Okay. My number 1 movie is a movie that has a little bit of sci-fi, but not so much that it's very unlike a version of, reality that we might have like tomorrow. It's a movie that has a little bit of romance and it's got a lot of theme. And the theme I'm talking about is just like the human condition and what it means to compare yourself to others and to believe that you are or are not worth something. A lot like this list, the movie talks about things like being number 1 or being number 2 and what that means and if that should mean something. This is a movie that made me feel something, and the feeling wasn't even from like a relationship or something. A lot of movies that make me feel something, I think, are like romances where I feel like heartbreak for these characters. This movie, I just felt feelings for this guy. The movie's called Gattaca. Was that your guess?
That was my guess.
Okay.
Gattaca's so good.
Gattaca's a really good movie. Gattaca's a movie that's technically really good. It's shot really well. This is a movie that I will forever say has an amazing soundtrack. Is soundtrack the right word, or is it score? I don't know. The music in this movie is so fucking good and so moving that I sometimes listen to it when I'm working out because it makes me so inspired that I could just lift the entire planet.
That's awesome.
Gattaca is a movie that came out in 1997. It was directed by Andrew Niccol, who has directed some movies that I did not like, but he directed Gattaca, which I really do like. It stars Ethan Hawke, Jude Law, and Uma Thurman, among some other people. And basically this story is about the near future where you are able to genetically modify your embryo so that your kid comes out basically perfect.
Sounds kind of like an episode of Black Mirror.
Kind of sounds like an episode of Black Mirror. Ethan Hawke is not a genetically modified person. He came out normally. His brother is a genetically modified person who came out, supposedly perfectly.
I just love the concept of this movie. Like, that's such a perfect setup to tell a great story.
Yeah. And basically, in this version of the future, anybody who is invalid, which means that you are not genetically perfect, is set up to do shitty jobs like being a janitor or being, whatever, shitty things. And if you are valid, you're able to do cool things like be an astronaut and go to space. Ethan Hawke's character is a janitor, and he wants to go to space, but there's no chance in the fucking world that he can go to space because he's not valid. And so the whole movie is about his journey to try to achieve his dreams. And I really can't say much more without spoiling the movie. Oh, there's also like a murder mystery that's happening at the same time as he's trying to achieve his dreams, and it's kind of hindering him because they think that he might be the killer. Okay. But yeah, Gattaca's just super good. It's a movie that I feel like I might not be able to watch as often as I watch some of the other movies on this list, but it was a movie that just impacted me so much, and I felt like I related to this character so much more than I've ever related to a character in a movie. And I just feel what he feels, and I feel his struggles, and it's amazing. Gattaca is amazing.
I love Jude Law's character.
Yes.
As well, because he is someone who is a valid, but he's not happy and he's not perfect.
No.
And I don't spoil that storyline, but it just kind of goes to show that, perfection is really not attainable.
Yeah.
And the more we strive for it, the more we might be hurting ourselves.
Yes. Yeah, Jude Law's character is interesting because he used to be amazing at things, but then he gets into an accident and then he's in a wheelchair. So that completely changes his ranking, but technically he's still valid because he was born, that special way. Mm-hmm. But life happens and you can't control everything.
Right.
Yeah. I love this fucking movie. It's so good. I love the ending.
I love the scene towards the end when he's swimming.
Yeah.
With his brother. I don't want to give anything away.
Yeah.
But I never saved anything for the swim back.
The scene.
It's such an amazing moment.
Yeah, the scene with the swim, the final swim scene in the movie, is probably the part of that made me fall in love with the movie and say, okay, this is
a favorite forever.
This is a favorite forever. This movie is worth it. Yeah, it's just so moving. And man, I said it already, but I've got to say it. The music is so good in this movie. I don't know what the deal is. I usually don't pay attention to music that much in movies. But man, if you just listen to the soundtrack to this movie, it's just so like epic and perfect for the movie and just meaningful. It's a beautiful movie too. It's shot really well. If I ever get like a dope ass TV and like nice speakers, this is a movie that I think I'll put up there and watch because I just feel like it would sound and look so good on a big screen.
Right.
It's a great looking movie. The performances are so good by everybody.
I definitely approve of it being your number one. I think it's an awesome movie.
Yeah, it's awesome. Gattaca is awesome. You should watch it, definitely. That's it. What's your number one?
Gattaca?
Yeah, do I guess your number one? No, you have to do it, and then you ask me if I guessed it.
I didn't get to guess your number one.
Right.
So you can tell me if you knew this was going to be my number one.
I'll tell you if I knew.
Do you have an idea?
Wait, no, I haven't thought of it yet. Hold on.
Okay.
Okay, I have my guess, and
Okay.
I'm not going to say it though.
Okay, so my favorite movie, my number one is
of all time.
Of all time.
This is the last movie we're talking about tonight.
It's a love story, and it's a little unconventional. It's heartbreaking. It's real. Do you know? You're smiling.
Yeah, I think I know
It is Like Crazy.
it. Yeah.
Is that what you were guessing?
Yeah.
Like Crazy. It's an independent movie. It came out in 2011. It's directed by Drake Dormius.
No clue.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything else that he's done, but I love this movie. So I don't even know where to start with it, but it starts with a young couple in college, played by Anton Yelchin and Felicity Jones. And also Jennifer Lawrence has a small role in this movie, kind of before she blew up.
Yep.
And Felicity Jones' character Anna is from the UK, and Anton Yelchin is from the US, and they are both going to college.
Oh no, Anton Yelchin.
Yeah, he passed away, I think in 2016.
Yeah.
Which is horribly sad because he was such an amazing talent, and it's a real loss.
Yeah.
But he's amazing in this movie, and so is Felicity Jones. So Felicity Jones plays Anna from the UK, and then Jacob is Anton Yelchin's character. And they fall in love, and everything's amazing at first, but their graduation is looming, and they don't know what they're going to do after graduation because they want to be able to stay together. And she actually ends up overstaying her visa, so she's banned from the US, and that's kind of the setup of, you know, they still are in love and they still want to be together, but they can't because they can't live together.
Yeah.
And it's heartbreaking. Just the performances, they feel like such real people, and you feel their pain. And the entire script was actually improvised, which probably adds to why it feels like such a real human story. But oh my gosh, it's so good, and it shows that you don't need a lot of money to tell a really amazing story. This movie was made for like under $250,000.
Yeah.
And the performances are just so good. I don't even really know how to articulate how amazing it is.
I like this movie a lot.
Do you? What do you think?
It's been a while since I've seen it, so I can't even really talk about the plot. But I do remember that the performances were super good, and that I felt like these were real people, and I felt like they were really in love, and I really wanted them to be together.
Yeah.
And not a lot of movies are able to do that. I guess we ended up putting a lot on our list, but, you know, we're picking out the best of the best.
I guess we have a certain taste.
A lot of movies are not able to do this, and so I guess we enjoy it when they are able to. And I just believed their relationship, and I felt so deeply, and I just felt so much hurt.
Yeah, it impacted me so much. And again, it's kind of more so than a movie, it's kind of like looking into someone's life.
Yeah.
It feels that real.
Yeah. Feels like almost like inappropriate.
Yeah,
like spying on
it
them.
does. It's like so intimate and there's so much raw human emotion.
Yeah.
It's really good. That's all I have to say.
We're gonna finish this podcast on a downer because this movie is depressing.
I know, it's the ending. I don't know. I think you can kind of interpret it a couple different ways, but it's not a super happy ending.
This movie has an amazing ending.
It's so good though, and it feels again so real. To repeat myself,
this movie has one of the most real, most raw endings of all time. I think
that's why it's so good. It feels like it could be an actual story.
Yeah.
Oh, and I forgot to mention it actually is based on events that happened in the director's life.
Oh, okay. Well, shit.
So maybe that is why it feels so real and the characters seem so vulnerable.
Yeah. Man, I love that movie. That's a good movie.
Yeah. And I feel like that's one that maybe a lot of people haven't seen because it's an independent, smaller film.
No, yeah, if you haven't seen Like Crazy, I would recommend it. I don't know how you're going to find it or watch it right now.
I think it has been on Netflix in the past. I don't think it is right now.
Yeah.
But if you ever see it on there, you need to watch it.
Yeah. There's an app called Just Watch that I have on Android that'll tell you what things are streaming on. And I am going to look up what this movie's on right now.
It's like honestly worth going out of your way to see it too.
Yeah, this is a movie that you should definitely watch, but just be like prepared to cry.
Yeah, you will cry, you will feel something.
When did this movie come out?
2011.
There's a movie that came out in 2016 with the same title.
I know, I saw that when I was making my list.
Yeah. You think it's related or no?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think there would ever be a sequel to this movie. That would be weird.
This movie is not really streaming on anything that anybody uses.
I know the first time I ever saw it, I rented it out of a red box.
Yeah. Yeah. Like Crazy.
Like Crazy.
That's a great movie. Well, shit, we finished our lists.
We finished.
We didn't want to take 2 hours this time, and it looks like we're at about an hour and 12.
Okay.
So we did pretty good, I think.
Didn't want to talk too much.
Yeah. I mean, what else can we really say? Do you want to say what our lists were again to refresh everyone of all the movies they should watch?
Sure. So, my honorable mention was Superbad. My number 5. I had switched my list around before. My number 5 was Black Swan. My number 4 was Titanic. My number 3 was Atonement. My number 2 was Fight Club. And my number 1 is Like Crazy.
Nice. My honorable mention was 7. My number 5 was Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. My number 4 was The Matrix. My number 3 was Hot Fuzz. My number 2 was John Wick. And my number 1 was Gattaca.
Good list.
Thanks. I like your list too.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
If I had guessed what your list was going to be, I would have known some of them. Like I would have known Gattaca and John Wick and The Matrix for sure.
Yeah.
But you had some surprises on there.
Yeah. I surprised myself a little bit with the list. It was kind of hard.
Yeah, it was.
But
Did you know what my list was going to be?
I kind of thought Titanic would be on there.
Yeah.
And I kind of thought Like Crazy would be on there. I didn't know Black Swan would be there. I didn't know Atonement would be there. And what was the other one that I'm missing?
Fight Club.
Fight Club I knew would be on
Yeah,
there.
you know I love that one.
Yeah. Yeah. We both had a Fincher. We had 2 Finchers. I had 2 Keanu Reeves. Did we have any other doubles? No.
We each had a Kate Winslet.
Oh, yeah. Wait, what was she in? Oh, Titanic.
Titanic.
Okay. Well, we learned today that we love movies and that I don't know that Kate Winslet is in Titanic. Any final thoughts?
This was fun.
Yeah, I had a fun time with this too. We should do more things that are like positive. Like, I don't know. Well, the last one was positive, but it was Black Mirror, which makes it a little negative automatically.
Right. And we were at, being more, like, critical.
Yeah.
These are our favorite movies, so we don't really have anything bad to say.
Yeah. But whatever. Whatever is fun.
We want to talk about the new Star Wars movie, but we have to see it again first.
Yeah, we've only seen it once, and I'm afraid that everything we have to say has been said already. But, man, I've got a lot to say about that movie. And I'm sure people want to hear about it. If you are listening to me right now, an hour and 15 minutes later, and you want to hear us talk about something specific, just put a comment and say what you want to hear.
We will literally do it because no one else is going to comment.
No one else is going to comment, so
we got 21 views on our first podcast,
God,
which was so crazy.
I don't know why we have so many views. Was it like... Because we linked it to like maybe 2 or 3 people that we know.
Right.
So who is watching this? If you're watching this and I don't know you, that's so cool. Please say something.
We can literally be friends. Like, I'll give you my phone number.
Yeah. I won't give you mine. But, man, you should comment and say like what you want to hear. And then you can be like our first fan.
Fan? Shut up.
We need a first fan. Well, can you have a fan if you only have 1 episode? We have 2 episodes now. This is the 2nd episode. So we can have fans.
I'm sure they're going to be lining around the block.
Okay. Well, I'm calling it.
All right.
All right. Thank you guys for listening. And we will
see you next time.
Yeah. Peace.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Bye.